Hi everybody, welcome to Inspiration and Networking. Today is Monday, the 11th of November of 2024. Hi, it's Donna. Today is our first video in a series of videos regarding home loan processing and financing, and giving some tips on how to make that process go a little smoother, maybe a little more efficiently, and just kind of, just giving some general information. It's not going to be about quoting interest rates or programs or any of that, because again, I'm retired, and so I don't have access to that information. And not only that, but you have to be licensed in order to be able, or working for a bank under the FDIC, or a credit union under the CUNA, I believe it is, if I can remember correctly. CUNA, yeah. You have to be working under that umbrella to be able to quote interest rates. And as I say, I don't even know what they are. So, but this is just a general overview. So I do want to put out a public service announcement today that in light of the possibility of changes that will occur beginning in 2025 in the potentially the economic and mortgage loan interest rates, short-term interest rates, etc. I would recommend that if you do have a loan in process right now and you have the interest rate locked, or if you don't have it locked in, you're going to want to do that. And you're going to want to make sure that you close that loan within the lock period. Even if it's a purchase loan, you want to be sure that you get that loan closed within the lock period. Now, the lender will extend the lock for you, but if the rate has gone up at the time the lock expires, they're going to extend the rate lock, but at the rate that it is at the current rate. So anyway, just public service announcement there. So today, just briefly, I just want to talk about the process. First of all, the process is, before you go out and if you're going to buy a home, this is to home buyers in this segment, to home buyers, if you're going to go buy a home, you have to know what you can afford. And it's before you really go shopping, because otherwise you're not sure what price range. I mean, you might have an idea, but it's better to be pre-approved. Pre-qualification versus pre-approval, those are two different things. Pre-approval provides you with a letter that says you are approved for X dollar amount, X type of loan, and the approval is good for X number of days, and it is on a lender's letterhead and signed by the loan officer generally. It'll have some stipulations on there, subject to an appraisal, subject to, verification of all income and assets, etc. But anyway, it carries a little bit more weight than just a pre-approval. A pre-approval kind of gives you an idea based on what your income and your assets are of what you might qualify for as far as a price range. But as I say, the pre-approval letter is generally what the realtor is going to want before they're going to make any offer of any kind on a property for you. So once you've established that and you've determined that you have a pre-approval, you've found a property, you have a realtor that is entered into that is prepared a purchase offer for you, the seller and selling realtor, the seller has agreed to that, and so their selling realtor comes back and it's all signed around and everybody's ready to go. Okay, so once that happens, one of the first things you're going to do, besides putting an earnest money deposit down on the transaction, is that you're going to likely be advised to order a home inspection. Home inspections are critical. They're very important. Even if the home is just a couple of years old, it's really a good idea to order a home inspection, because again, it gives you the opportunity to know what is going on in that home. And so it's going to let you know if there are electrical issues, if any health and safety issues, like if there are electrical outlet covers missing, if there are more than 3 steps to enter the home or exit the home, or if there are steps going down into a basement area or a lower level of the home and there are more than 3 of them, do they have handrails, etc. So those kinds of things. And so, and also, does the house need a new roof? Now, a home inspector may or may not be able to tell you that fully, but they would definitely be able to maybe say, I recommend you get a roofing contractor out here to do a roof inspection or something like that. But they look at generally all the systems in the home. That's the water heater, the heating system, cooling system, electrical, make sure the electrical panel box is up to date, etc. They look at the structure of the home. Does it appear that there's any earth to wood contact or any sagging porches or awnings or steps or anything like that? And then they look at, of course, the roof. So they basically do a whole home inspection. The lender does not see that home inspection. The realtors do. And of course, then if there are issues that need to be fixed, then that is the time that you negotiate through your realtor, the buyer's realtor, to the seller through their selling realtor. And then once a determination is made, if there's anything that does need to be fixed, of course, then that is determined on an addendum to the purchase agreement that is signed around by all parties. And then that information is then provided, a copy of that is provided to the lender. At that point, the lender is then able to go ahead and get your loan headed for loan processing. When you're first talking to the lender, I'm going to back up a little bit here. When you're first talking to the lender and you're discussing a pre-approval, you're going to be providing some information to them typically. It's going to be your pay information because they have to determine what your income is. You may say, well, I make X number of dollars an hour and I work 40 hours a week, but the lender still has to have documentation to support that and to calculate the income. They're going to ask for your most recent pay stubs with a minimum 30-day year-to-date income reflected on there. They're going to ask for your most recent 2 years W-2s. If you have a business or you have rental income, you're going to also be providing your most recent 2 years tax returns, all pages, all schedules. Bank accounts, you're going to be providing bank statements for the most recent 60-day time period that will be reflecting your banking activity regarding any large deposits or transfers. If you have, say, a savings account where, in order to, maybe you deposit funds in that savings account, and then when it's time to pay bills, you pull a certain amount over into your checking account, and then you pay bills out of there. You'll need to provide also a copy of the corresponding copies of the savings account statements that go with that transaction to substantiate that for the underwriter. They will obviously obtain your credit report. If there's any derogatory credit that needs to be explained, they'll recommend a letter of explanation for any credit issues. And having credit issues doesn't necessarily knock a person out of the ballpark. Again, talk to your lender. They'll advise you what steps to take and what information they need to gather from you. So once all of that information is in, again, the signed around purchase agreement, if there are any addendums, because there might be some work that the seller needs to take care of in the home before the loan closes, you're going to want to have that most recent addendum. If there are any price changes or anything like that, they will need to provide that. Then the loan goes in for initial disclosure. And so then you will be receiving some disclosures that will need to be signed around. The loan goes into processing, and sometimes that's an all-in-one thing. I know I did that. That was part of my my job last time that I worked in lending. And so it included initial disclosure to the borrowers, and it also included, of course, processing the loan all the way through the transaction, through funding. So anyway, once that is done, then you will need to be able to you'll be likely asked to make a deposit for the appraisal. And so the lender will then order the appraisal to get that started. and then the loan will go into, as I say, into processing. The processor will order things like your homeowner's insurance binder. They will get that on notification that that needs to be ordered up. If you haven't chosen an insurance agent, you'll want to be working on that. They will order the preliminary title report for the property. And if they have enough information in the file for the underwriter to make an initial determination, they'll go ahead and submit the loan to underwriting. A couple days later, the underwriter will generally respond. It's sometimes the next day. Sometimes they're able to get back right away. But usually, I would always say a couple of days. And then once the underwriter gets back, the loan is determined and the decision, there will be a list of conditions that the underwriter will likely ask for from the borrower. And so those items, the processor will prepare a list. They will either provide it to the loan officer to reach out to the borrower, or they will reach out to the borrower and CC the loan officer on it. The conditions will be gathered, and once they are gathered, then the loan, and of course the appraisal comes in, the title report's there, and all of everything that's needed to be there, all the components, the homeowner's insurance, etc., and everything is correct on these documents. Then the loan file goes back in for final underwriting, where the underwriter reviews everything that's come in against the list of conditions that they initially set. If all is good, they will clear the loan for closing. It will go in for loan documents, and the loan documents will be prepared, and the file will then go on to closing. At about the same time that the loan goes back for final underwriting, the processor or someone working at the lender will also prepare what is called a closing disclosure, or the CD as we call it in the industry. That will have the list of all the fees that have been dialed in, everything the borrower has paid toward the loan, including the earnest money deposit, the fee for the appraisal, if there were any additional inspections that had to be paid for, etc. All of those things will be listed as they actually are. All the recording costs, loan closing fees, etc., will all be dialed in there. And they will be very close to the initial disclosure. So you'll receive that, usually electronically as a borrower. And I recommend once you receive it, review it, sign it, get it back immediately. If there are two people on the loan, both people have to sign. If it's at a community property state, both people have to sign it, especially if they're going to be on the loan together and the title together. And so anyway, once all of that comes in, again, the underwriter can do the final review. And as I say, if all is good, the loan will be moved on to the closing department. They will prepare your closing documents, schedule with the closer, and then they will call you, give you the final figure if you have to bring funds in. They will send you wire instructions, another public service announcement. When you receive those wire instructions from your escrow closer, take a moment, pick up the phone and verify that those are correct. Lots of fraud and scamming in that part of the loan transaction that happens. And I mean, once the money's gone, it's gone. You don't get it back. So anyway, and then the loan you go for closing, signing your closing documents, and then generally within 24 to 48 hours later, your loan is funded and you have the keys to your new home. It's very similar for a refinance, except for there's no purchase contract. And you have, if it's an owner-occupied property, you have what is called a 3-day right of rescission. That is a federal law that is in place that allows you as the borrower, if you've gone along and you decide, you know what, after you've signed your documents, I just don't want to do this, I just don't feel right about this, then you can rescind or back out. But once that passes, then the loan will fund. Thank you, and I appreciate you. Please give comments, thumbs up, and subscribe. Have a great day. Bye.